At UFC 297 on January 20th, we have a pivotal middleweight title clash that I don't think any of us were expecting. You have the newly crowned UFC middleweight champion and a somewhat polarizing figure and misunderstood mixed martial artist in Sean Tarzan Strickland taking on Dricus du Plessis. Du Plessis versus Strickland is a firefight. It's a battle for blood, in my opinion. Both of these guys are going to be coming out and looking for the finish. Now, I would say the higher finishing instinct probably comes on the side of du Plessis, who's 20-2 in his mixed martial arts career, but has 19 finishes out of his 20 wins. Not only knockouts, but submissions as well. He's undefeated inside of the UFC with only one fight going to decision. His most recent victory coming over the former middleweight champion and former title contender as well, in Robert the Reaper Whittaker, where he was able to stop him via TKO in the second round of their battle at UFC 290. This was supposed to set up Dricus du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya at UFC 293 in Australia. However, du Plessis suffered an injury and had to undergo surgery in order to fix it, and this left an open spot for the main event alongside Stylebender. And the man who stepped up to the plate was a man who's not short of stepping up to the plate in any regard in terms of his UFC career, in Sean Strickland. It was Strickland versus Adesanya at UFC 293, and most people believed that it was going to be a repeat of the Alex Pereira fight, where Strickland was going to start off strong but eventually get caught with a big shot and knocked out. However, that was the furthest thing from the truth, as Strickland was able to drop Israel Adesanya with a picture-perfect right cross right down the middle of a potential counter lead hook from Adesanya. The counter lead hook or counter rear hook was the same shot that he landed on Robert Whittaker to win the middleweight championship. But Strickland was wise to it and was able to counter inside with the straight punch. The straight punches always beating the looping punches. Not only did Strickland shock the world as almost a 5-1 underdog, but he dominated the champion and won the title via unanimous decision, thus setting up the fight that we never thought we wanted, but we now can't wait to see. Strickland versus du Plessis is a very intriguing matchup, almost more intriguing than the potential Dricus du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya title bout, and I'll tell you why. I feel like this is a much more even contest on paper, even though it may not play out that way. The finishing instinct of du Plessis, along with the traditional Philly shell boxing approach of Sean Strickland, makes for a very intriguing clash of styles. Will Strickland be able to dictate the fight in the range using his jab while being able to roll and parry potential counters from du Plessis? Or will du Plessis be able to land his lunging, darting in straight punches from southpaw or orthodox and finishing off his combinations with kicks, potentially landing takedowns in the process? This may be a fight where Strickland has no choice but to exploit the grappling chops of his game, or I should say showcase more than exploit. He'll need to maybe pull out tricks that we haven't seen in his career due to the dangerous striking ability and potential knockout and finishing upside on the mat from still knocks. On another note, I feel like Strickland and du Plessis have a lot in common in terms of constantly being doubted by the MMA masses. Whether you're a hardcore or a casual fan, I feel like many people believed that du Plessis wouldn't get anywhere close to a potential title shot. They felt like his stiffness, awkward movement, and chin-up style of striking was going to leave him to get countered and eventually knocked out or potentially rocked and finished on the mat. But not only is this man undefeated in the UFC, he's also a two-weight world champion at welterweight and middleweight in KSW before he made his way over to the premier mixed martial arts organization. Strickland, on the other hand, had a much longer tenure inside the premier mixed martial arts organization. Not only was he in the UFC prior to du Plessis, but his career was put on hold due to a catastrophic motorcycle accident which seemed to end his career in the blink of an eye. But after a return and some victories over the likes of Jack Marshman and a TKO finish over Brendan Allen, alongside victories over Nasruddin Imavov and Abus Magomedov, Strickland slowly but surely climbed his way up to title contention. And now with Strickland as the champion, we have a very polarizing and entertaining figure, even though most people may not feel like Strickland should be the champion. He earned it 100%, but I still feel like people have that doubt in the back of their mind. And on the other hand, there's people who are completely discounting Du Plessis after the performance that Strickland had against a fighter in Israel Adesanya. But as we know with mixed martial arts, especially at the highest level, styles make fights. And I feel like although Strickland is more technical, although he'll have the better counter ability, and although he'll be able to dictate the pace using his jab, it's still a more difficult fight for Strickland than I believe the Adesanya fight is, due to a few things: power, aggression, awkwardness, and the ability to finish the fight. Strickland has become more of a finisher in recent fights, being able to drown the opponents under his forward pressure and volume-based striking approach, but at the same time walking into a fire with a fighter like Du Plessis who can put your lights out with one lunging straight shot or a big counter hook makes that pressure style a difficult task to employ against a fighter like DDP. One thing is for certain, and that's this fight is interesting. This fight has a lot of questions, and the fans, including myself, have a lot of questions going into this matchup. Will Strickland be able to outpoint and style on a fighter who he's much more technical than in Du Plessis? Or will Du Plessis be able to close the pocket and crash the pocket with a big bomb and catch Strickland on the chin just like Alex Pereira and finish him off with ground and pound, knock him out with one shot on the feet, or jump on him with the ability to lock up a submission such as a guillotine or a rear naked choke like we saw in his victory over Darren Till? All of these questions are going to be answered on the night of UFC 297. And although I don't believe it's going to take 25 minutes to get our answer, one thing is for certain, and that's the fact that the winner of this fight will definitively be known as the undisputed UFC middleweight champion of the world.